welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is an amateur farmer and bourbon enthusiast, John Levingood.
And I'm wearing alpaca socks.
Yeah. I love the shade that they threw at him on that news report where they're amateur farmer and bourbon enthusiast. Right. Like they just whoever worked on that news report and did the whatever, I can't think of it, the scroll on the bottom, define Nicolas Cage's character, and just to call him an amateur farmer. They could have just said farmer. Like, they could have said that, but it makes me very happy. Bourbon enthusiast. Well, I like a little bourbon.
I guess when the entirety of your farm is 6 alpacas, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's a beautiful place that they live on. They don't really need the money, right? He just bought alpacas to have alpacas? Is that, because Teresa seems to do really well, and they have a gigantic house. I guess it was his father's. They don't seem to be struggling for cash. So is that more a hobby, the alpacas?
So that's a good question. Although I feel like I read something into this movie that this movie did not tell us.
What was that?
I suspect that they moved there because they had to financially because of all the bills from her cancer.
Oh.
Because and when she was up in the attic doing remote meetings with her financial planning clients, she was totally stressed out about losing clients because of the bad reception that they have all the time. Mm-hmm. And so she's very worried about that. So I think that they actually moved there because of financial problems, and that they did not put that in any way in the script. This is just like a theory, if you will, of mine, right? And then I thought that Nick Cage, what is the character's name? I don't know why that.
Nathan,
okay. And Nathan, I think, is doing that as a way of trying to build money, and that's why he gets so stressed about them.
I mean,
so I might be inventing something that isn't there.
A plot out of space? Is that what you're doing?
Right. I'm pulling something out of space. The financial theory out of space.
What color would you call it?
Well, it's not green because they're worried about it. There's not enough of it. Yeah. It's more like they're in the red.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So I was looking up alpaca costs, and they're between $3,000 and $10,000. So those were little when he bought them. So let's say he got $3,000. So he put $18,000 in them, and that's a big investment. So if they were swimming in it, they wouldn't be worried about $3,000 or $18,000 worth of alpaca. Does that make sense? Like
Again, I think you can go either way. So yeah, like I'd like to think he's worried because of the finances, but then again, if this is just his passion project, he'd be stressed no matter what, right?
True. This is quite the performance by Nick Cage, and I adore it, man. I know I just want to... Okay, can I tell you something real quick, John? That something's been bothering me lately, and I just want to run it by you. I know it's not the financial thing we were talking about, but...
I'm here for you. I'm an active listener for your feelings.
Thank you, John. What I think is interesting is that with his latest movie coming out in Pig, people right now are saying this is a Nicolas Cage resurgence. He has come out of the direct-to-DVD doldrums, and he is now making a name for himself. But that doesn't seem entirely correct to me, because in 2021, he also had Willy's Wonderland, which was a lot of fun. Prisoners of the Ghostland. I mean, he went out to Japan and shot that. I mean, just with Sia Sono, like a really excellent director. And then he had Color Out of Space in 2019. He popped up in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Teen Titans. Then he did Mandy in 2018. 2017, he had Mom and Dad. Now, I'm just covering the really good ones. Dog Eat Dog, major director, The Trust. People like that a lot. So yeah, he had Left Behind, he had Outcast. But then he also had Joe and The Croods. So this is a guy who I just don't think... And he kicked off 2010 with Kick-Ass and Sorcerer's Apprentice. And the year before was Bad Lieutenant. I don't think he's gone anywhere. I don't like this narrative of he's back. Because, yes, he did admit to taking direct-to-DVD movies where he works for 3 weeks, 1 week, to pay off his debts. But he has been popping up in some really funky, excellent, non-Hollywood, aggressive, creative films with really interesting filmmakers. So when people talk about him now, like, oh, the resurgence of Cage. And you know what's awesome? Like, I'm part of the Georgia Film Critics Association. We gave him Best Actor for Pig, which made me really happy. But
amazing.
Oh man, it's all him. That's what I like. There's no prosthetics. There's no accent. There's no, it's not based on a real character. It's just a raw meditative, beautiful performance. But I don't know what you think, John. I don't think he ever left us. I mean, maybe
So
he left the mainstream. Not for maybe he didn't leave for cinephiles, but he left for the mainstream because the
so
mainstream's not watching Mandy.
as you're telling me this, I'm realizing that I disagree with what I once thought, which was kind of the same thing as this article was suggesting, right?
Hmm.
So it seems like he's constantly been present. He just hasn't been as present in the big theatrical releases. He used to be the it guy, though, with like
Yeah.
two huge Hollywood movies a year. And I mean like huge. And now it's, so uh, Wally's Wonderland, like that was cool, but that's not a big theatrical release, right?
Hmm.
And Mandy, which we loved, not a big theatrical release, was it? I assume not.
So I don't know what happened, John, but one day I think I had some free time and I just when was this? 2016? All the way back then. Wow. No, when did Mandy come out? 2018. It was
18, 19?
2018. And I just had I don't know what it was, but I was like I'm going to look at movie times. I'm going to see what's out because I got, Megan's working tonight. I might just go check out a movie. And I just saw Mandy one night only at this theater. So I was
One
like,
night only.
I'm like, I'm gonna go see Mandy. So I don't think it received a wide theatrical release, but I got lucky and I caught the one night that it screened. And I think that's why I love it so much, John. And I wrote my thoughts about this movie. I wish I could have caught Color Out of Space as well. But yeah, going back to what you're saying, yeah, he hasn't been mainstream, right? He's been turning in funky work, but not in National Treasure 3.
Yeah, but then recently, Color Out of Space, I'd call that, at least for horror, that was a big release.
Yeah.
At least for horror, right? Like, but I think it's a tremendous, awesome movie. And then, Pig, holy crap! Like, I feel like that's an Oscar bait movie without trying to make Oscar bait movie at all. And then with this new thing coming out with Pedro Pascal,
Yeah.
that is like his first, what I'll call like truly mainstream huge movie in a while. Like that just looks, the trailer had like the inner me doing backflips and the real me afraid of breaking his neck trying to do a backflip. Um, but like, yeah, so I guess he's coming back to like the big main stage, but right. Yeah. He's been constantly in a lot of interesting, quirky things that maybe make the Cage fans even happier. Because lately, I feel like these movies have been embracing his weirdness more. And speaking of which, did you not? I know this is a
His
general
accent
Cage.
change. Sorry.
Did you see a good bit of Castor Troy from Face Off in his wig out scenes in Color Out of Space?
Oh, did I? Don't get mad at me. Don't get.
Just get out of. I'm going to get out of your face, Lavinia. Or let me make it easier for you.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Get out of yours. And the way he held his hands, and then he even did a Castor Troy emulating John Travolta finger face thing to his wife. There was, and I'll bet that was his idea. He seemed to be conjuring a bit of Castor Troy.
That's really. I bet you because he said he went places on this, and I bet you during the filming he went out there, he got out there, and we've talked about this, John. When you find that groove, you do draw from past. Like when you're in the zone, you probably do draw from that. So yeah, absolutely. I think he did that because that was in. Maybe do you think he could have planned it, or do you think he was just so in the zone he did it? Do you think
maybe it's just like when he was doing Face Off, or maybe some other things too, but Face Off is what I think of. When he was conjuring his most erratic, manic parts of that character, this is just what came out. It wasn't that he was thinking this is this character.
Yeah.
And so then we're just seeing it again, but again with the hand motions and this tilted head, and I don't know, just the way he enunciated it made me think of just like a frenetic Castor Troy. And I love seeing it. It's just for moments here and there. And other parts, his emotional range in this movie, by the way, it's like it's wild what he pulls off.
Richard Stanley wanted him to be pretty relaxed for the first hour, and then he kind of kicks it into overdrive when he's slamming in his car and yelling. And I mean, his accent changes in this, or his inflection, the way he speaks. because in the beginning he's very, I enjoy his time for you to do the dishes, and then
Right.
he's talking about being a leg man, and he's quite charming, but he's also that drinker dad who sleeps on the chair to go to
Mhm.
sleep after a couple whiskeys, which I kind of love. I believe him in that. Remember when his kid uh, gets shocked by the color, and when Jack sees the color and he pours a scotch immediately,
Right.
like he's I don't know, but he pulled that off so well. The first time though, I got to tell you, John, I've always loved this movie. The first time I loved it more for, I would say, Madeline Arthur's character, for Elliot Knight. I liked him a lot. I thought Brendan Meyer was really good. Jolie Richardson, the places she went while stuck to her son Julian Hillard.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
she emotionally was there. At first when I watched this, I fell in love with the colors, the sound design, the editing. The same guy who edited this, he also worked on Mandy and Pig, so he's a wonderful editor. The guy knows how to really draw emotion out. But I thought
He's a cageist.
He's yeah, he's not cagey about doing cage movies. He needs to do a cage diving movie with Cage. Oh, brother. But yeah, this movie, I felt like Cage's over the topness was a little bit of a detriment to me, because you're supposed to have this cosmic horror and I don't know much about Lovecraft. You know more about Lovecraft than I do, but when I think of but Reanimator went out there, and it seems like people like combining humor with Lovecraft a decent amount. But I like, I guess a movie like this, I wanted to be dragged in. Like Mandy, that movie is just so oppressively bleak and beautiful. I wanted that. And there is a freak out scene, but it feels like a warranted freak out scene. This one, I'm not going to say exploitative with his freakouts, but I definitely got taken out a little bit of it. But the more I've watched it, I probably watched this 5 times. The more I've watched it, the more I've learned to really embrace what he's doing in this movie. Because I think sometimes, for me at least, I thought I had a mental block. I'm like, oh, it's Nick Cage freaking out again. But if you watch it, it's very measured, and you can't even be surprised. I mean, he started freaking out in Vampire's Kiss, in Valley Girl, and Moonstruck. He's been doing this his entire career, so I don't even like calling it a freak out. But this is a very long way of me saying that I didn't love it at first, but now I love it. But it took me 4 viewings, 5 viewings to get on his wavelength.
Yeah. Okay.
What did that happen to you, or no? Were you
No,
immediately?
I just I mean I felt there was a little familiarity to me in the nature of his freakouts. Right. And I hadn't even really placed the face-offiness that I feel that I see until like viewing number 4 out of about 5 for me. So that was very recent before it just struck me as a cagey thing to do. But I guess so as I saw it more and more though, I feel like we're seeing each character in the family taking a very different trajectory into Lovecraftian madness.
Yeah,
We are seeing him go into the more, I don't know how to call. I mean, it's not stereotypical, but like just a more what we would think of in a horror movie of someone going mad. I feel like he's doing more of that, right?
yeah,
More of an in the mouth of madness, just full tilt nuts, right? Whereas um, other characters are being affected differently, and I think it's because of their character interests. Because so Teresa, she's just kind of zoning out, but her character had different, what I'll call weaknesses or stressors, because each character has their own kind of things that would make them vulnerable to something
like
supernatural in
their
a horror
dog
movie.
and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, in this, I mean, so Cage has the drinking.
Oh
They
yeah.
really did a good job showcasing the drinking in this movie. I think there are 11 scenes where you see him pour bourbon in this movie. 11. And even if I'm off by one, still, there's a lot. It's a lot. It's not just talked about. They're both, the whole family is stressed out over the mom's cancer situation, right? Lavinia is doing these, I don't know if they were Alexandrian or Wiccan kind of prayers or conjurations to try and bring good health to her mother. She's really stressed about that, right? That's obviously affecting the mother. It affects her feeling attractive to her husband and worthy to her husband. It's stressing the husband because she is putting up these unfortunate defensive walls. It's all understandable, right? And the daughter is stressed naturally, like any movie. She doesn't want to be there. and her mom's on her about boys, and it's creating a little divide between them. And then the youngest child, Jack, it's almost like any movie. The supernatural always are more likely to reach out to the children because they're more open to something, or they see something that adults have forgotten how to see, or however the explanation is. And Benny, he's kind of my outlier. It's because he's into drugs, even though it's just a little pot, it seems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's into spacey things. We see him looking through solar system maps and stuff. So he's drawn maybe to this. So everyone has something which in a horror movie you would probably normally use to show that someone is susceptible to a madness and influence of something, right? Being touched by something. And so they all have these things. And as a result, they also all take different paths of madness. So Nick Cage is this kind of skitzed out madness. And Teresa, she kind of zones out. She's more separated. She zones out. She cuts off her own fingers. Maybe I don't know if they were trying to give some allegory with how she fused with her son. That was a thing. Right?
The Lavinia, thing.
Right. Lavinia seems to kind of connect to this, but I don't know if that's because of her connection to this Alexandrian or Wiccan practice, because it's almost like she becomes the conduit and or new high proselytizer of Lovecraft on Earth at the end. Mm-hmm. You know, so all these people have these different behavior patterns, and the child is behaving like a child. He hears things people don't hear. Nick Cage smelled things no one else smelled.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
The time distortion only affected a couple of them. So there's all these things going on in this movie. So when Nick Cage is being Nick Cage, we tend to notice that, I think, and be like, oh, he's being Nick Cage. But I think in a way it complemented the diversity of flavors and shapes of madness that kind of bespeckled the screen through its running time.
Man, that's a great point. And you know what's interesting about this movie is I never really thought about that because I've always just enjoyed letting the experience wash over me. It was only until I did the research for this episode where I listened to interviews, I read interviews about this. I think Fantastic Fest, Patton Oswalt moderated a questionnaire, a Q&A with Stanley and Cage, and I've learned a lot about it through that. But I've always just been content letting this movie wash over me. I've never really went in depth with it, but I think that's positive for the film when you can just enjoy it on a experience level and not a what was that level. Because I never once, John, thought, what is this thing? Why is it here? Why is this? What's the twist? What is this? And I dug into it maybe in my third or fourth time, but no, I actually love what you said, but I've never considered that because I've always looked at this as a movie that just washes over you and you can just enjoy it on a sensory blasting level.
I think that's a credit also to the characters, editing, and pacing of the film. Because now, granted, on viewing 4 or 5, we get a little more critical, right? Because things are more familiar. It's easier to notice things because we know it's coming up. But I feel like when I watch something for the first time, if I'm thinking about the things that you're talking about, am I thinking about them after the movie's over or during the movie? If I'm thinking of it after the movie's over, that means that this movie was constantly hitting me with things that I was interested by, curious about, impressed by, or just visually, being overtaken by effects, like all these things, right? But a lot of horror movies or sci-fi movies are going to have their periods of exposition or you're quiet getting to know the characters, and sometimes that's not so magical. And I think those are the times where we take breaks between the creature scenes, if you will, to actually think about that previous creature scene or thing that happened. But if the characters are always good, and if you actually invest yourself in what's happening on the screen pretty much all the time, I don't think you get a time to think about that again until the credits start. And by then you might have forgotten about all the specific things that you were curious about, right? Because you're on the ride. You're on the Willy Wonka psychedelic ride in this case, right? Yeah. At the end, you're just like, what just happened?
Yeah, just embrace the ride. And I think that's because all the colors and the editing and the performances and I think, you're just able to, like you said, a magical mystery ride, and you soak up the experience. And these movies are so rare. I truly believe that these ones that you can just, I don't know, enjoy on a sensory level. And I don't know, I feel like it's very visceral. well made, and I'm just happy that what Richard Stanley was able to kind of come back and redeem himself. He's been living in the Pyrenees, John, all these years, just writing
Has a lovely
scripts,
cabin.
and then he comes back and makes this movie. It was pretty interesting what Nick Cage said. He had just gotten done with Mandy, and I believe Spectre Vision produced this, and he had just gotten done with Mandy. Like, hey, we got something else for you. He's like, well, great. I just got off this movie. Now I got to go do another one. But he's like, Richard Stanley. He almost worked with him in the 90s. And so now he's like, Color Out of Space. He read the script. He's like, oh, okay, the one person I know who can make a movie like this is Stanley. Because his other movies, Hardware, which you've watched, John,
Mm-hmm.
they have a very interesting color scheme as well. So he said that Stanley was the one guy who could make this. And he says largely magenta. I know that's off topic for what we're talking about, but this, I don't know. I think I love movies like this because it's so rare for me just to sit and get like let an experience wash over me nowadays. If that makes sense. There aren't many movies I can think that I just sit there and you know when they show Nicole Kidman in the movie theaters watching those movies and she's just in wow. Do you know those commercials for AMC?
Yeah, yeah.
And she's watching Jurassic World. And you're like, what? How many movies did you watch that day? But I feel like that watching this movie. Just the images hit my are hitting me, and I never once questioned what this thing was. I just knew it came to Earth, got in the water, got in the well, couldn't see it, kids could hear it, things went terrible. Don't drink the water. Aquifer, and then it was over. But yeah, I wish there was a commentary. And also, too, John, the director laments that he wishes that there was more to this movie because in the Blu-ray there are deleted scenes, but there's about 15 minutes of them. And I don't think the movie needs another 15 minutes. You can't.
It is a solid hour 50, I think.
Yeah,
right?
you can't clear 2 hours with a sense. I mean, I know 2001 does it. There are, but that's on one hand you could probably name that. I think this movie is better served by being under 2 hours, just in and out, hits you. I think if it drags, you're taken out of that world. So I like that those scenes weren't added in, even though they kind of lament being taken out. But I don't think they did anything for the plot, because you still understand what's going on without them, I would say. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice that there was a sheriff that just was chill. The sheriff,
Right, right.
he was not a jerk. He got it. He kind of rolled. He understood the situation. He trusted Ward. I was like, this is a nice sheriff. Have there ever been nice sheriffs in movies? You know what I mean?
He's a hydrologist, and the sheriff shows him like those dead alpacas in the back of the pickup truck. He's just like, "What do you make of this?" He's like, "You're the only scientist I know," basically. And so because they're so remote, they're like an hour from a hospital. So in that case, he's just like, "I need a referral. What do you think?"
I love that. That was so refreshing, right? He's like, hey, come take a look at this. And I also like when the horse goes running past him. I love the horse's name is Comet, by the way.
That's when he turns on the lights.
Yeah. And so the sheriff, I mean, I know the sheriff eats it, but it was really refreshing not to have a tropey sheriff. And I also really liked Ward in this movie, Elliot Knight. I think at the end, his scene on the dam when he's looking out at the water, his interactions with the characters, the way he plays the guy, I don't know, I dig it. I think he and the lady from Tremors would get along. The seismologist. They're just chill.
It's interesting too, because Ward, he's like the investigator, the academic, and Lovecraftian stories, not necessarily all the movie adaptations, right? But the Lovecraftian stories actually often revolve around, or at least include, a significant character who is an academic or investigator. And in the case of the Reanimator, they're the problem. In the case of the movie The Resurrected, which is, I think, called The Curious Case of Charles Dexter Ward, actually, that person is the instigator of the problem, conjuring these necromantic forces that end up taking his life and others' lives. But so even The Unnameable, that's Randolph Carter. If anyone's heard of the Unnameable movies, there's two of them. But you often have this, whereas normally they're front center stage. In this, he's just rather an equal character to the family members.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit less than equal. He's there though. The component is there, but he's not like the star of it. And I wonder if that was deliberate or if that's just how this happened to be written. That this character was present.
Yeah, it is interesting because you do think that maybe because he gets the narration in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
so you do think maybe that this
Right.
guy is the
Well,
main.
beautiful narration.
Yeah, you know what I like too about his narration. So I took notes in the beginning, but like what the axes have never seen these trees and sunlight and dark narrow glens, and I like his narration because it's not super monotone. It's more dreamy. You know, John, how much I hate
Mm-hmm.
monotone narration in these kind of movies. The world, what the heck? No, but I love it. It's very dreamy, and it really does capture an interesting sense of isolation, of danger. It makes the woods seem dangerous. Like, remember we watched The Ritual,
Right.
and but I think I like how they shot the trees in The Ritual to make them seem super tall. Like you're lost the way they shot that
Yeah.
2-to-1. So
And
I
in the
dig.
Hallow.
Oh yeah, the Hallow, the way they
Or I'm
shot
sorry,
that.
the Hollow, that Irish movie.
Oh, that's one with yeah. Wait, what's the Hollow?
Yeah. No. There are movies. There's a movie called The Hallow, but The Hollow is the 2015 Irish movie about the dendrologists and then those weird fairy creature monsters
Yeah, those are
were
cool.
there that we were potted about. But
Yeah.
that had this equally enchanting, primordial, beautiful, but dangerous and maybe like illustrious but dark, kind of untouched by humanity, and thus humanity doesn't necessarily have a place there.
Oh, did you get that vibe from this? I got more of a what do these when these shots spoke to me, they gave me more. That's really interesting. You said that. Yeah, I guess it didn't make me seem like the woods were evil. It just made me seem like they were ancient and
Well,
engulfing and
so it's at the end, but the narration includes the word evil, like the question that something evil
mm,
may be out there.
yeah. Oh, because remember they said that
Um,
too. They said something evil was on the farm. There is that brought up, and also too. I mean,
okay.
in the beginning, Lavinia is making a no, she's not doing a curse. Yeah, she's not doing a curse. She's doing a grant me
Like a
protection, a
blessing, a
ritual.
prayer of
Yeah,
sorts.
yeah, she's doing a ritual, and we don't. He does say it's Alexandrian, but she says he's wrong, but she could be messing with him. But yeah, she is doing that, and then we learn her horse is named Comet, and then a curse can goes 3 times wrong. Do you think she summoned that, or do you think? I
You
mean,
mean like if she did it wrong?
yeah, but I don't think her curse would send a meteorite. I mean, that meteorite had been on the course for Earth for a very long time. So I
It,
don't think the curse grabbed it.
unless there was some transdimensional something or other. She had purple highlights in her hair pretty early on.
Yeah, she did. Oh man, yeah, she had purple highlight, and then
Is
it comes down purple. Oh,
You got to wonder, is that just their design and wardrobe people having fun, or
see, that's a good question though. That's something where you notice it and you're like, oh, that's clever, and that's a good question to have. I think this question that we have right now, John, is clever because is good. We're asking, did this ritual do it? Purple hair. She wants us to go. We know curses can go bad. It does go 3 times as bad. Magic comes at a cost when you ask for that. So yeah, I do think even if it didn't, it's still a really good question to have. It just adds another layer to this movie, which once
oh
again I
my
love.
goodness, Mark, I just got struck by a comment. Holy crap! Well, ready?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a reach. It might be just a funky set of coincidences, right? Okay, she does a ritual. We're arguing maybe she did something wrong, right? That's how the movie The Gate. That's how a lot of horror movies get started. She's already got the purple in her hair. Horse is named Comet. She's doing this for her mother's health to make the cancer go away. Her mother's worst affliction from this is that her child becomes like a full body tumor.
Oh, magic comes at a cost. Yeah.
But I mean, really, I mean, yeah, they fuse together. But really, the child was rendered rather inert and just made some whining sounds, whereas the mother was truly what transformed into the monster, the hunter. The kid was just there and kind of out of it. And he became this lumpy thing in and through her back and torso. I mean, I wonder if that was a decision made, but like creatively thinking of cancer, tumor, or if this is just something creative team came up with on their own. I don't know.
Jeez.
But
Jolie Richardson needs a raise for that licking water out of a bowl scene too. She put the work in. But no, John, that's a great question. But I think that's a good question. I think this movie raises good questions, if that makes sense. I think, I don't know. And I like when Nicolas Cage doesn't kill. He actually quotes The Exorcist, which I learned from an interview, when he's like, get out of here. And you think he's going to kill Joey Richardson, but he doesn't. And then the alpaca murder scene. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that was after the alpaca murder scene. That was very Thing-esque, but I also think that, did Lovecraft ever describe something like that in his books or his short stories or novellas? Because
I remain baffled to this day that whenever I Google Lovecraft and The Thing, I don't find any credit given to the story for The Thing to Color Out of Space. The Thing specifically strikes me as a more grounded, less fantastical, just aliens exist version of the Color Out of Space. And the amorphous forms, they date back to artwork in the 70s. These weird, amorphous, multi-limbed, conjugate, amalgamate beings, that exists in Lovecraftian lore. It's just maybe not anything so specific as The Thing or the clearly Thing-inspired llama scene, but like these weird distortions, this is part of what touches people with madness. They see into the void and they see things that their mind literally can't comprehend. And it's these horrors. In the Mouth of Madness touched on that a lot too.
Yeah.
So the answer is like, yes, absolutely, but not absolutely.
I think they found a really interesting and maybe shrewd and their own variation of it, if that makes sense. They found a way to kind of adapt it to what they needed, but also make it seem different.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a good honorarium to The Thing, though. Like,
yeah.
I think they were enjoying that, and I loved the visual. They did a good job with it.
I mean, Richard Stanley loves practical effects, man. So he loves the work that they did on The Thing. I mean, that's a practical effect miracle, that movie.
When I posted my requisite movie and beer pairing on Instagram, the director, Alexei Smirnov, the director of the Russian movie The Super Deep, commented on it.
Ooh.
And because I really enjoyed his movie, and I guess he started following me. But he said something that shocked me too. He said, in spite of the criticism, like, this movie did not, in his view, wasn't well received, The Color Out of Space. He said, in spite of the criticism, this movie was a breath of fresh air for me. I wish there were more films like this. The soundtrack to the movie was amazing. And my last project, and he's referring to the Russian movie The Super Deep, I borrowed a lot of ideas from this, both in color palettes of light in the frames and in the sound design. And also, as it turns out, in the creature design, because there's a big, conjugate amalgam of human bodies in there that is nightmare fuel.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta watch that. I gotta watch Super Deep now.
But now that shocked me, though, that apparently, at least in his view, and I didn't necessarily pay a lot of attention to broad critical reviews of this, but this maybe wasn't super well received. Whereas in the horror community, as far as I saw online, this movie is a treasure.
I do think so. It is fresh, and I do think it's in the high 80s. This movie. Let me look right now. I think it's 82. Yeah, it's 82, and then
okay. I wonder what he's referring to. Then.
But it's 6.1 on IMDb, which isn't great. But I do think, John, you and we exist inside a movie bubble where we appreciate
a beautiful one.
Yeah, a beautiful movie bubble. So for me, I think Mandy is one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in decades. I could say that too. We're getting old, John. But I think I wouldn't recommend it to many people aside from cinephiles. Like, I'm not going to tell my mom, hey mom, go watch Mandy. So as much as I love Mom and Dad, but the thing is, you understand who the directors on that. They're the directors of Crank who made Mom and Dad, so you understand the film Richard Stanley, you know about his visual work and you know about what he brings. So I think when people watch Color Out of Space and they're I think part of maybe if they're mainstream, if they aren't part of the horror indie community, they don't think what the creature from Session 9 is one of the scariest thing that's ever existed, who still haunts my nightmares. But they just come for it for Nicolas Cage's freakouts, for his car banging, for his change of accent throughout the film. I don't think they. So I think that could be a criticism where, because it's not a pretentious movie, John. This is not a pretentious movie.
No.
It's not an overly violent movie. It doesn't take you through the ringer like a Korean film like I Saw the Devil or Thirst. I don't think it's interested in that. I think it might even be a little bit more accessible than In the Mouth of Madness, because there are time leaps, but there isn't this totally non-linear weird town. I think it's quite accessible. So yeah, I just think the criticism would be someone going in to watch a bad Nick Cage movie, then they get a good Nick Cage movie. And it's just, does that make sense? Because we just have to, I've really tried to look at myself as living in this movie, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie bubble. But I could see the complaints if this isn't what you're expecting.
Like, you see Nicolas Cage, you assume you're going to laugh a few times.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe those are some of the complaints, because I don't think this movie's never precious too. Oh, it's 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's huge. 70% Metacritic.
That's really good.
But this movie also, it's never precious. Sometimes I watch, and people are going to hate me for this, but like I'll watch like a Midsummer, or I'll watch people are hating me right now. You diss A24, you get slaughtered. But you watch some of these horror films, and some of the moments feel very precious. You get really sort of stilted dialogue. You get a really wide, long shots, and none of them are really necessary, but they have this preciousness to them. I don't think this movie has it either. I don't think it's pretentious at all. I just think it's a good old creature feature with some cosmic forces in there and Nick Cage. But yeah. That was a long answer.
It's a journey. This movie is a journey. You know what? Most horror movies, or sci-horror, or whatever you want to call it, I just call it horror though. Most movies aren't really journeys. The characters all transform in one way or another over the course of this movie, and the literal landscape transforms over the course of this movie, and some of them physically transform, and some of them mentally transform, and they're clearly being affected even by time a couple times, and not many movies do this.
No.
Even when people refer to like some emotional or huge transformative like character change throughout a movie, it's usually a character, and the world around them is reacting to it, or they are reacting to the world reacting to them, right? Whereas this is everything in their microcosm of their household and their plot of land is changing, and you can track it through time. So the movie, it's not like it just feels different in the end because now we know there are monsters in the beginning. It's literally a sliding scale that you keep moving with the progress bar of the screen time. This is an unusual phenomenon. And again, the characters are changing, the monsters are changing. Oh, there are those flowers. Now there are more of those flowers. Now other things are purple. Nick Cage is freaking out when the car doesn't start. And now there's a hazy mist of purple, and the tree is a little oddly formed. Right? All this stuff keeps happening. His rash, which never amounts to anything, but it's there. We just know that these changes keep happening.
And
it's neat.
By the time the mom gets hit, the time Teresa gets hit, they're affected as well. So they're not going to make the 12-mile walk outside of their property. Their car doesn't work. They're already caught there. They already have that pull. So it does make sense while they're still there. You watch a lot of movies and you wonder, why don't they run? But I think these people were so ingrained. And also, too, the changes don't come that fast. And I mean, would you leave your mom if she and your brother got glued together and became this creature? Like, it asks interesting questions, but by then they're already losing their minds. They already having time jumps. They're having bloody water sinks. They're letting the alpacas out. I don't know. I do think there's a couple issues I have with this movie. The well scene doesn't really hit that hard for me. It feels...
Do you mean the end when Benny?
Yeah. When Benny just goes, I'm going in the well. I know he's affected. I know he loves his dog because that's a great acting dog, by the way. But I do think that one isn't really earned. And I also think the fake fog work in this movie is not the best. I've seen better fake fog work before because you could tell it's fake fog. Those are my two complaints right there.
Okay.
I just had to get those. What did you think about Benny's
No.
death
Well,
in the
I'm going to
well?
agree about the Benny thing, that his death does feel the least earned.
Yeah.
That now that you're saying that, it really resonates. And honestly, when that was happening, every time I watched the movie, I'm like, couldn't he take 3 seconds to get a better look down there at what he was seeing?
Yeah.
Like, and then like, was it really so important that he rushed down that moment? Because if that's the dog is treading water. It's not like in the next 2 seconds it's going to. The dog's been down there a while. Like it's. So there was kind of like a false urgency that we see in a lot of horror movies. It's almost like the panic that makes you drop the keys needlessly outside the car and then even inside the car.
And you have 75 keys.
Then you drop it on the car floor and you go down, then you come up, and then there's the killer's face through the window. Like there was a lot of urgency in that. And really the creature payoff of that was, to me, it looked neat. It's neat to know that exists, but it was a less payoffy thing as well. I don't fault the movie for having it, but I definitely acknowledge that was a weaker additive. But you know what? In most horror movies, that would be a great scene.
That's the problem with really great movies,
out.
right, John? Like when there's a really excellent movie, when there's something that rings a little false, it sticks out like a sore thumb. But if you're just watching a popcorn entertainment horror picture that it was just meant to, kill teenagers, it has all these scenes, but you're just rolling with it because you're on that movie's wavelength. But when something is really striving for excellence and it does a little something to take you out of it, I think that's when you really notice it. Does that it's like watching an NFL player trip. I don't know, for lack of a better comment. It's like watching Tom Brady throw a bad pass. You're just thinking, what was that?
It's like an offense.
Yeah. Yes. When there's that object of perfection that you see and then they trip or they pick their nose. You're like, oh, I hate them now. I think there are these glaring, even if this took place in another movie. And listen, I do love when Nathan says he's in the well now. That's really funny. I enjoy that. But yeah, that's the one scene that didn't feel earned because you understand why Teresa and Jack are fused. You understand Lavinia's, which is really interesting what you said. She almost begins to kind of be it. She almost forms with it. And Nathan, he goes mad, but he also doesn't shoot Teresa. He doesn't shoot the cops. He keeps some form of sanity in his insanity, which is quite interesting. So yeah, I don't know, because you establish he likes the dog, but it's never built in that much. But it's a good dog actor. You know what though, John? If my cats were in the well, I'd just put the bucket down there, I guess. I don't know. I'd climb down. I would. I would risk cosmic fury. Ooh, that'd be a good movie. I would risk
Cosmic Fury.
I would risk cosmic fury to save my cats. That I would do.
That sounds like a B movie where Nazis have a moon station.
if G-Spot were in a well, I would go save G-Spot because it's a cat. Get it?
The name
it's
of
funny.
the cat for the listeners.
Oh man, but I also too. Sorry to interrupt. I like this family because they are dysfunctional, right? But they do sit on the couch together and enjoy TV. They laugh when he just looks like a complete bozo on TV. When he says it's time to do dishes, they have fun with the dishes. So it's interesting that they like each other, but then they also have gone their own way in their own right. But it's an interesting family dynamic because sometimes you watch a family, and for me with horror movies, I've always felt more dread when the family likes each other, not just like a divorced couple being attacked by strangers. Or a couple who they're about to split and they're really don't like each other. I mean, I get you have that plot to bring them close together and then they get killed, whatever. But I like the dynamic with this family because they did like each other despite themselves. It felt more of a believable family dynamic. This movie did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciated that. So. I really appreciated that.
Another weird thing this movie does that I enjoyed, and it's not like other movies haven't done it, but it was done, I think it was done very well in this movie. We talk about, so Lavinia, she wanted to go get help on foot, and Benny's like, it's 12 miles through primordial forest.
Yeah,
like,
I wrote that down. Yeah.
and he said something else like, and we've been out of it. We're gonna get
Ancient
lost.
woodland.
Says that.
Ancient woodlands.
I'm sorry, ancient woodland, right? But he even said like, we're out of it. Like, we're gonna get lost. Like, So you have both those thought processes, but we as the viewers by the end of the movie have been cued into a few things. The cat transformed into something interesting, right?
Yeah.
G-spot. We saw by the way, an 8-legged mantis come out of the well. They don't exist. With compound eyes. So we saw, and it had a stinger. Remember it aggressively when Dad started coming down. It showed the stinger, but then it just flew off in a scuffle. So we know that creatures are being, and then the sheriff lost it to a murder tree.
We got to add that to the list, John.
Which makes me think of our podcast episode 37, 11 cinematic trees that you don't want in your front yard.
That's one of my all-time favorite posts.
Podcast episode 37. That is like that's like almost 400 podcast episodes ago. But we know that trees, insects, pre-existing animals the alpacas are dangerously affected. So even though they don't necessarily all know that, we can't say, you idiots, why didn't you just walk the 12 miles to try and save your mom? What else were you going to do? We also see at the pan out at the end of the movie how much of the forest is affected. Mm-hmm. We know it's probably actively spreading. So this is turned into like the movie Annihilation, which is also based on Color Out of Space, where everything has become oddly dangerous.
That screaming pig. Woo-wee.
Dude, that was horrible.
Oh, man. Hey, how about this? Before we go, let's take a quick break because, John, I got to go make some food. Do you want to know what kind of food I'm going to make?
Gosh, is it alpaca spare ribs?
I need to replenish I need to talk about this movie, so I need to bring my A game. So David Cross of the Award Wieners Movie Review podcast, and he's on MFF a lot. He's been on here for years. He creates hot dog recipes for each of his Academy Award-winning movies. And so I had him, since we did Mandy together, we did Willy's Wonderland, he's a big Nick Cage guy, I asked him to make me a hot dog recipe for this movie. And he created, and I'll add this on the Movies, Films, and Flicks post so you can see it. He did Introducing the Color Out of Space Dog. Blackberry and barbecue, and he made this, by the way. Blackberry and barbecue sauce, glazed carrot, and parsnip that have been fused together. Served with sour cream, cabbage, because it's purple, cabbage slaw, and chips. I went heavy in the theme of purple and wanted to play with something unusual as the hot dog, befitting something out of this world. And then he put, depending on which side you bite into, you get parsnip or carrot forward flavor. So he...
Oh, like the mother or the boy.
Yeah. So he created...
His mother was chopping carrots.
Oh, it's beautiful. And he made us a Color Out of Space hot dog. So David Cross over at Award Wieners Movie Review podcast. Thank you very much. It's wonderful. But yeah. Hey, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk about Nick Cage picking vegetables. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. John, did Nathan ever fix that dish outside?
I feel like the first time he didn't, because he was a typical human and husband who said, I'll do it tomorrow, and then he just didn't. And then any future complaints, he could have always blamed on time-space continuum issues.
I'll do it tomorrow. And then he goes and gets his bourbon. But yeah, that was funny. But I also love him watching picking tomatoes and peaches, and he's calling them beauties. And like, oh, you're ready early. And he's like, oh, they taste like garbage.
Those were some good-looking tomatoes. Those big tomatoes, man. I was like excited for him. And then even though I had already seen the movie before, I was watching this like a week or so ago. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot they were bad. It's like, oh, they look great. Like, I want to get a giant burger and put a big, like, steak-like slice of that tomato on it.
Oh, man. There's a documentary I like called Biggest Little Farm. I would like Nick Cage to go start a farm, and I would just like to watch him farm, because that would be an amazing, that'd be an amazing documentary.
Remember when they weren't good, and he's just, like, literally pegging them into the sink and the trash can in front of his wife. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, can you believe the smell? It's always the smell. That's his, like, one of his madness afflictions, the smell. He had a lot of fun with the smell stuff.
Did you see him put the bourbon on his upper lip before he drank it as well?
Yeah, and then he rubbed it on his arm. He rubbed
Yeah.
it on his weird, like, interdimensional rash.
He loves his bourbon. Is he like
He's
the guy from My Big Fat Greek Wedding who just puts Windex on everything? He just puts bourbon on everything?
Remember when they called him a UFO witness?
Yeah.
She said, "So were you drinking that?" And he's like, "Oh, well, like I had a little bourbon. It's pretty good. It comes out of Texas."
He shares too much. Remember when the mayor comes up to him, and he's like, "Yeah, we were getting it on." Yeah, like,
Right.
no.
It was a pretty special night. It had been a long time.
Yeah, and he's telling her that. Like, he tells her about how they were hooking up, and
He's got so many great lines.
yeah. And it was also really cool to see Koryanka Kilcher in here from New World. It was awesome just seeing her pop up. Yeah, just seeing her pop up. But I do love that. He's like, "Yeah, we were upstairs. It's been a while. It was really I'm like, "Nick, don't do this. Why are you?" He's definitely a weird guy in this, but he seems kind.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
he has huge dad issues, it seems like. She said it was the only thing that his father ever would have approved of is him moving back home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Simple line that tells a lot.
Yeah, that was a good line in there. But he's a squirrely. But I'm telling you, all the little touches he made with the bourbon and the way he overshared, he did good work with this, and he created a character. And I think I'm glad that I had to get over myself and just think that he was just freaking out, which, it's a problem on my part. That was my mistake. But yeah, once I realized the layers and the things he did, I'm like, wow. I was kind of annoyed that I missed some of that stuff. And I also think that I've been saying this a lot, but when you put Nick Cage in the woods, good things happen. So Joe, one of his David Gordon Green, excellent movie, and he's killing trees in that, by the way. So he's a tree killer in that movie. Mandy, he's a lumberjack, so he's chopping down trees. Pig, he's hunting for truffles near trees. And then Color Out of Space, he moves to the woods and is surrounded by trees. And I mean, bourbon comes from white oak. So yeah, he has his wood and his wood.
Did you say bourbon comes from white oak?
Well, like, I'm sorry, they age it. So they make the barley, the corn. Yeah, so virgin white. So bourbon, to be bourbon, you have to put it in a virgin white oak barrel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
and then that's why they, then they sell it over to sherry and scotch and everything. That's why you say like old bourbon barrels. Yeah, well, of course. But yeah, so the white oak, they use that in. But yeah, I think once you put Nicolas Cage in the woods, good things happen, John. It's like, remember in the 90s he had his prison trilogy. He had The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off, all various prisons. This one, I think he has the Woods quadrilogy. So Color Out of Space, Joe, Mandy, and Pig.
Yeah.
Nick
All
Cage.
solid.
I like the Woods quadrilogy. So now, yeah, just put him in the woods. Next, you got to put him in a prison in the woods. Whoa.
Like No Escape.
A prison island?
You remake No Escape, and you put him in it.
I just short-circuited.
This movie's something special.
When I did the Adam Sandler movie, and I made Jacked Up, I think I might create the greatest Nicolas Cage film and make it that.
You think you can make the greatest? It's really just going to tie an existing movie. With Pig and this in existence and Face Off, like in The Rock, I don't know how you can make a better one.
Okay, so Leaving Las Vegas, he won his Oscar for drinking, right?
Oh, God, I'm leaving Las Vegas.
And then in Raising Arizona, he drinks. So, and he runs a lot. And in Leaving Las Vegas, he's trying to kill himself. In The Rock, they get stuck on an island, prison island. Con Air, he's in a prison plane, which is essentially an island. And Face Off, that's an island, prison.
He's in the island of John Travolta's body.
Yeah, and then the magnetic boot prison.
Oh right, yeah.
John, can I take this idea, or you want to write it?
I think you got to run with it.
All right, this is a good one. Oh man. All right. Oh, we should.
But if you do that, you need to include the best line of this movie somehow in the movie that you make. And in my opinion, that is after the meteorite lands and the sheriff and the mayor are there, and he's apologizing for the smell. And the sheriff's like, "I don't smell anything." He's like, "You don't smell that? It smells like someone lit a dog on fire." And he's like, it's so disgusting to him. He can't even keep his composure while he utters this sentence.
Oh, that's amazing.
And by the way, Have you ever used that to describe the smell of something?
This is a funny movie. And when the scene where Ward looks at his flashlight, remember when he sees all the colors and then he looks at his, is this my flashlight? There's some humor in this. Yeah. That's funny. Oh man, you picked up on some things I didn't pick up on, because that's a funny line. Can you? A dog on fire.
Like, it's just so out there in a scene that's so normal early in the film too.
Oh man, John, I'm like, we created the perfect Nick Cage film. Wait, but Piggy's amazing, but he's in the woods, so that takes care of that. So this is the best possible Nick Cage movie. And he's in prison and raised in Arizona. That's where he meets.
There's a movie I haven't seen since the 80s or 90s.
Oh, I think that's my favorite Coen brother movie. It's like a live action cartoon, and I adore it. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just want to give some props real quick to Madeline Arthur. I think she's really solid in this movie. I think and I like her relationship with Brendan Meyer, so Benny and Lavinia. I like how they insult each other. Like, she calls him maggot dick and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I do.
That's a hell of a line.
When I heard that, I was like, I'm writing that down. But at the end when they say it to each other, and they gave credit to Richard for writing this line, but they say that to each other endearingly at the end. It's not a mean thing towards the end. Does that make sense? They're kind of in it together, and they say that as a form of bonding. But I really like that line. There's cool family moments in here and I even like the kid, little Jack. It's a good little actor. You like him, and he gets fused to his mom. He becomes a parasitic brother thing creature.
Cyst tumor thing. He's like a living teratoma.
Oh gosh. On my notes, I wrote nightmare mom, because when she just runs in on the daughter, and I just put Benny lives in the well now. That's the line that I love. That makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, he lives in the well now. Yeah, we're all here in the living room except for Benny. He's in the well now.
What a great.
What's funny is that shit crazy Nick Cage also is drunk, I think.
Yeah, plowed.
He's holding a drink.
Oh man, I think he's in the well now. Oh, that's beautiful. And what did you think about his wine cellar, John? So you have a nice wine collection. What did you think about his wine?
That came out of nowhere though. When he goes down there, every time I see the movie, I'm just like, what?
That's a legit cellar.
That baffles me.
So he likes his bourbon.
I feel like
he
if
likes
they
his
just
wine.
sold that cellar, they'd solve a lot of their financial issues if they have any.
Oh. Uh-oh. We have a new wrinkle in the movie.
Well, but he just might love it, though.
Yeah, that's true. I mean...
And she seems to like it, too, though, remember? Because she says, oh, honey, like, maybe something to go with this. And he's like, honey, I have the perfect thing. And then he goes down, like... I think they both enjoy that wine cellar a lot. It's not like it's just his baby.
I poured my brother some Pappy Van Winkle 20 the other day. He's like, why didn't you just sell this bottle? I was like, why? I was like, I can enjoy this bottle. I don't want to sell this thing.
I'm not going to pour it for you again.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, no. Oh man, he like closed his eyes and like he like embraced everything about that drink.
Okay, but he loved it.
Yeah. But he was, because you know how much those go for on secondary markets. I mean, yeah, but it's fun to enjoy. So I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, but I do love that the wine cellar comes into play later. And I do like that Ward Phillips lives. Like he's not a guy that you think would live. And once again, in Tremors, she lives too, which I love it. I like that the scientist makes it in this, and that makes me happy.
So I strongly believe that Ward died as soon as the credits started.
Oh wow!
As that eruption was coming and growing out of the ground in front of Lavinia, that was just my assumption actually, that anyone there were done, but I don't really know that. That was just like my take on it, I guess.
Huh.
But you clearly viewed that very differently than me.
Yeah, I just saw him living, and then he's talking about it like, yeah, a few people know about it. It was bad.
So he and Lavinia just become like a tentacle covered like king and queen of this forest.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That's the sequel. They can. It could be Color Out of Space versus the Hallows.
Color Out of Space, the Hallows. The Hallows really is like just a very grounded version of what would happen, after this.
I guess you're right. I mean, Hallows is very grounded based on probably on mythology. Troll Hunter, the same. This is more of a cosmic horror kind of, because it doesn't play with any old tropes of forest. It's not based in anything real, I would say. So yeah, it'd be a weird combo to join them up. But I do that one guy becomes kind of like a tree person, doesn't he? In the
You
Hallows?
mean the guy that gets murdered by the tree? Oh, in the Hallows.
Yeah, doesn't he become a tree person or like a wood
I
person?
believe, I think, yeah, he got kind of overtaken by the forest spirits, if you will. And but he overcame it just enough to like save his wife
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at the end. Well, yeah, it's like he got afflicted again, like the Thing or something, or anything in these things. It's like you got touched or infected. You're slowly being overtaken. There's a little humanity left. The humanity is less and less and less. And he was just able to save them with his last maybe act as a human or something. But yeah, he became like a tiny ant.
Tiny.
That's a really cool movie. I think that was probably around episode 70 that we did that. We did a couple of woodsy movies. I think we do The Forest as well.
Yeah,
That
Natalie
weird
Dormer.
Natalie
Yeah.
Dormer movie with the Japanese suicide forest, and there might have even been a third movie in there.
I think that's one of the most boring films I've ever watched.
It was not riveting.
No. Well, hey,
It
John,
was not riveting.
this was awesome, man, and thank you so much for joining me. This was a blast. I'm really glad, and I'm looking forward to. So we have executive decision next, because I'm going to release this soon, and then we're going to do executive decision, and then we're going to have Dagon next. So I'm looking forward to those two back to back. I like our trilogy here.
And for our listeners, so this was part 2 of our Lovecraft trilogy episodes. Dagon's going to be the third. The first was Reanimator, which was episode 395, and that was actually inspired by us doing the John Carpenter Apocalypse trilogy, which was The Thing, The Prince of Darkness, and The Mouth of Madness, all of which I find very Lovecraftian in various ways. And those were episodes 250, 358, and 369. Dude, so I literally referenced a podcast that is number 37 in this episode, though. The cinematic trees I wouldn't want in my front yard. Like, that's been around, Mark.
Yeah, we've been around for a minute. And I do want to say, one of my favorite things that we've ever done, I mean, I loved our Final Destination one, but I loved our Resident Evil.
And one day maybe we'll finally follow through on the years-long threat of doing all the Saw movies.
Oh, I mean, we could do that. I'm down, because I spent a lot of time with that franchise for that video I made, and I have a whole new love of that movie. So yeah, we'll do that, and then we got executive decision too. That's next. So I'll look forward.
Sorry, we got 2 more, and then we can go into a project.
Oh, and I kind of want to do Resident Evil Raccoon City with you as well, because
I still have to see that, but I'd love to do that. Yeah, to fully complete our anthology discussions.
I've been thinking about it a lot lately, not because it's a weird movie, John. I don't think it features anything groundbreaking or particularly memorable. There's no set pieces that are like the grid sequence in Resident Evil, but it's so refreshingly straightforward. it's one of the most linear movies I've ever seen, and I really like how straightforward it is. So I look forward to I don't know how much meat is on the bone to talk about, but I think it'll be fun to chat with you about it. So
I was honestly just so relieved when you put out a non-scathing review. You're like, yeah, this is fun. I'm like, oh, good. Jesus, what a relief. Because I'm going to watch it. If I own the other like 7 movies or whatever, it's like, I'm going to watch this. I have to. So.
And I mean, listen, I do think it does try to stick to the game too much, and then it doesn't branch out on its own like the Paul W. S. Anderson ones do. But I'm telling you again, John, it's just so straight. Okay, don't expect. It's a TNT movie. It's an FX movie. It's a Plane movie. And I don't mean that derogatively. I think it's just really nice and straightforward. And I don't mean that to be reductive, like, oh, isn't that quite cute? No, I look forward to I look forward to talking to you about it. That'll be good. All right, so go follow John on Twitter. He's at MFF Horror Corner. Follow him on Instagram. His beer and movie pairings are always a highlight. And John, anything else you want to promote? You're just on Retro Movie Geek.
I was, yeah. So we had done The Fifth Element back on our episode 81, I believe, along with Jupiter Ascending, which I always called Jupiter Rising. And so,
which is Mercury Rising.
Right. It's But we had done it a while back, so I had watched it, 2 or 3 times in that week alone, even though that was a few years ago. It's a movie I watch about once a year anyway. So when someone who I knew from horror movie podcasts, but they also have this podcast, asked me to do it, and I've met this person. He lives 30 minutes away from me in Lakeland, Florida. I just thought, oh, okay, sure. What do I need to do? They're like, nothing, no preparation required. I'm like, done. So we did a whole episode on that, and I gave some shameless plugs about our episode on that, and
Nice.
it was a lot of fun. It's funny though, because when you get a couple movies together, the conversations that I had with them were so similar to my conversations with you. And just like you were so knowledgeable about the history of the movie and Luc Besson writing it when he was so young, and everything with Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. So too on this podcast was someone so knowledgeable in all these old comics, and I believe he's in his 50s. So he's, it's more like he was of the right age for it even at the time. And so we're talking about how why am I talking about this movie? We're going to talk about Executive Decision next.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining me, John. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for John Levengood, go listen to the Fifth Element episode. This is Movies on the Flicks. We'll see you next week.